It's time for the Volquest Mailbag Podcast, answering your questions from the General's quarters every week, right here on Volquest.
Good Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Volquest.com Mailbag Podcast, presented by our friends at Smoky Mountain Organics. Check them out online at SmokyMountainOrganics.com. Remember, there's 4 locations in East Tennessee to serve you: Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Kingston Pike, Sevierville. That one location on Kingston Pike is just down from Trader Joe's on the other side of the street. So be sure and check them out. That's Smoky Mountain Organics, East Tennessee's most trusted health and wellness store. Be sure and check them out online at SmokyMountainOrganics.com. With Austin Price and Rob Lewis, I'm Brent Hubbs. Glad to have you along with us on this mailbag edition. Guys, we'll jump right into the questions. Not surprising, there's quite a few recruiting questions, a lot of transfer questions lining up in this podcast. So here we go. Deshaun 13, stock up, stock down, educated guess on next year. 22 roster, 23 recruiting, 22 transfer portal recruiting. You going stock up on this roster next year? Stock down, stock stagnant? Where are you going on the right? I guess he's saying compared to this year. What do you think about this roster? Who's here, right?
Yeah, I mean, is Hendon Hooker back? Again, I think Cedric Tillman's 90% coming back, but when you're a receiver and your quarterback potentially leaves, that could give you pause. So again, there's a trickle-down effect from Hendon Hooker. So for me, I'm going stock stagnant on that. I'm going stock up on 23 recruiting, and I'm going stock stagnant on the transfer portal. Because I think most of the guys Tennessee will go after will be in the portal later. Here's the deal. Look at all the players that Tennessee added over the last 9-10 months. Several of them were post spring or in the spring, much less December. So I think a long way to go in the portal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, don't you think that guys who jump in the portal early are probably trying to know that they may have to work to get some options out there? Whereas if it's a guy who's going to go in the portal who's been super productive, knows he's going to have a whole bunch of options in front of him, so he can go at a later date if he wants to. I mean, to me, the guys who are going now are trying to find a spot. The guys who are not playing, trying to find a spot. That's what it feels like to me, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I totally agree. I mean, the guys, like Harrison Bailey, great example of that, I think. And then I think you get a different wave that aren't happy with where things stand after spring practice, see the writing on the wall. And I think that's a whole nother portal season.
You got the coaching change season too, right?
Yep.
I mean,
playing time in the fall, coaching change in the winter. Where you are in the depth chart after spring practice, kind of 3 different phases.
The three seasons of transfer portal coverage. Oh, isn't college football fun? Anthem wants to know, if you had to make a guess, who are the DBs Tennessee ends up with in this class when it's all said and done? No transfer answers needed. Just who are they recruiting in the high school and JUCO ranks? Austin been pretty active in the JUCO ranks with a couple of kids.
Yeah,
in pretty good shape with a couple of high school kids, right?
Yeah, Keontae Scott, he'll be here officially this weekend. Everybody's after that kid, though. I mean, if you land him, then you beat out some of the best programs in college football for him. Then you got Marquise Gilbert. His team won last week, so that means he'll come in for the Vanderbilt game in a couple of weeks. And then, JUCO rank-wise, they're going to go – or not JUCO, the high school ranks, they're going to go with, different guys, Jeremiah Caldwell, Jordan Thomas, Cody Jones, just to name a few.
Yeah, Cody Jones from Memphis committed to Michigan, but they've been chopping some wood there. We'll see if they can get him on campus, right?
Yes, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, if they can get him on campus, then that one I think suddenly gets more real than just the conversations that have been taking place for the last couple of months on that one. His second question: gut feel on if Hendon Hooker leaves for the NFL. Rob, you got a gut?
I don't think you can say right now. It's going to all depend 100% on what kind of feedback he gets. I totally expect him to, take advantage of the opportunity to get, information from the NFL. And like we said the other night, I think the fact that he would be a 6-year player and a 24-year-old kid on his first, a lot of rookies would be through their first contract, by the time he would be hitting the NFL. So I think that's going to be a factor. But I think it just all depends on what he hears in January from the advisory committee.
Yeah, I mean, like Saturday, it's a perfect game. You're playing the number one team in the country. Everybody's watching. If he goes and plays well, makes some good throws against that defense, makes some plays. It's probably not a good thing for the Vols' chances to keep him around.
And again, I mean, I really think the age thing will influence him. Whereas, if it's a junior and you get a 6-round grade, you might, it's worth my while to come back. But if you're, a 6-year senior, I think you might think differently.
Yeah, unless the Kenny Pickett, the situation with him, I mean, at Pittsburgh, he made the wise decision. Now, part of that was due to the fact that it was such a deep quarterback class a year ago. But I mean, that was the guy who was projected as a 3rd or 4th round pick at best in last year's draft. And I think we all agree he's probably going to go somewhere late first or somewhere in the 2nd round, maybe the first quarterback taken off the board. So that one worked out in his favor. But this is a different draft class. I mean, there's not the depth at the quarterback position that there was a year ago. It made perfect sense for Pickett to come back, and he made the best choice because he's going to make more money as a result of it. So I think it's, what that advisory committee, and listen, we've all talked to Hendon Hooker. Austin, you did Tennessee Prime, but he's not going to make an emotional decision here. I mean, it's going to be very calculating and very thought out, I think, when he makes whatever decision he makes.
Yeah, he's very mature. I agree. I think he'll take his time. He'll consult people. He'll talk to people. He'll lean on his family. He'll lean on his dad. If you saw the piece that Marty Smith did on game day, I would be shocked if he makes any kind of, rush to judgment decision. Would expect him to, use all resources possible to come to the best decision.
All right. His last 2 questions. Do you think Tennessee is redshirting Callaway and gut feel on pass rushers and D linemen that might end up in this class? I think it's on Callaway to get on the field. I don't know. I don't think there's a plan there to do you have a sense there's a plan to redshirt him, or that's the reason why he hasn't played?
Well, he missed that first game of the year. And then he played against Pitt, Tennessee Tech, Florida. Hasn't been seen since. So technically,
he could play in one more game and still redshirt.
The bowl game.
Interesting. Maybe
when you start putting it all together,
okay,
it makes some sense.
Yeah, Rob, you were going to say?
I was going to say, man, Heupel got asked about him a few weeks ago, and I talked about it on the podcast. I think it was last week, and I thought he made it. I mean, reading it wasn't hard. I didn't think to read between the lines and get the impression that it was all about practice habits. I mean, they're playing 5 guys at wide receiver if you count Ramel Keaton. I mean, Hyatt's playing.
I don't count Ramel Keaton.
Well, but I mean, he's getting snaps.
Yeah,
he's at least giving somebody a blow.
Yeah, he's getting a dozen or so. I mean, basically they're playing.
Ramel Keaton's got the Cedric Tillman treatment from when Jeremy Pruitt was the head coach.
I mean, they
go out there and block.
They got 3 that they're playing a bunch of snaps. Hyatt's snaps have gone up, and then they're playing Keaton a little bit. That's it. That's what they're doing.
I just think with depth purposes, I think if he was giving them what they wanted, that they would play him. I don't think in this day and age you redshirt kids like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, I mean, if Velus Jones can handle the slot, would you get enough snaps out of him to justify it? I don't know. I don't know that Callaway would be. He might be interested in redshirting at this point in the season because he hasn't played. It would make some sense for him now. So we'll see where he's at the end of the year and where that goes from there. Austin, gut feeling on pass rushers and D linemen that end up in this class.
I think things have started to trend up with Joshua Josephs, James Pierce again. They like him a lot. I think he likes Tennessee, but again, he's got to do some work to do off the field. And then you look at a guy like Demario Tolan. He's not in the same breath because he plays a little bit different position, but still a guy that is athletic and get to the quarterback. And then
the JUCO kid from Independence, right?
Yeah, Jeffrey Umbach.
Yeah. I mean, that's a guy they've recently offered. I think Tennessee likes him a good bit.
To me, he's a different guy than the other guys, though. Like they're more speed and he's more power.
Yeah, well, he said pass rushers and defensive linemen.
Oh yeah,
I threw him in there because he's an interior guy.
I think they'll go to the portal quite a bit, though.
Yeah, I think they would try. I mean, we're seeing more of Deshaun Terry or DJ Terry and no Latrell Bumpus last week. doubt that he plays this week. That's a possible redshirt candidate that they could get back next year. That would help them with some inside depth if that's the way that thing plays out the rest of the season. So we'll see there. UT Volunteers 1618 wants the podcast on Spotify and also wants to know, do you think likelihood of portal success decreasing a little when the needs shift more towards bigger guys, non-skilled players? Is it harder to find big quality bodies in a transfer portal than it will be to find running backs and receivers?
Sure, because there's just more running backs and receivers. More people are at that position. More people can play at that position. And, those type positions have more of that prima donna like attitude towards it. Not every kid, okay, but like I think there's a
more
lot
kids
of
are going to more kids are going to be in the portal at those positions. Is what
because of that attitude, or thought process. I mean, a lot of the kids that play running back and receiver are uber confident, and so if they're not playing, like they want to play, it's real easy for them to jump in the portal. Linemen are different.
Is it, Rob? I mean, is it? I think it would be harder to get. I don't say guess, but to evaluate a lineman who's not been playing. You know what I mean? Like you can watch a kid's, if a kid's a receiver and he's not been playing much, you can still watch his high school tape and you can tell if he's fast or what he is. But a lineman, it's hard to see kind of what's prevented development from getting on the field, unless it's a high profile guy who's a starter who's decided to transfer. You know what I mean? I think it's a little.
But, I would think that coaches would lean on each other. I mean, even if you're working at rival schools, I mean, you know this better than I do. The coaching fraternity it's everybody knows everybody, and I think you probably have coaches that can pick up the phone and call just about any program in the SEC, and they've got a buddy that they either worked with or who's going to tell them the truth.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I thought Rob was going to break out in that country song. Everybody knows everybody.
Next question, guys. First, I'm wondering if you guys can give an update on who the Vols might be prioritizing currently in the portal, not just positions, but possibly names. Again, as we said off the top, I don't know that there's guys in the portal yet that Tennessee's heavily involved in or going to be heavily involved in.
AP, show them that list of names you showed me earlier on that piece of paper.
No names on a sheet of paper. Again, I mean, it's early. I know it doesn't feel early, but it's early. I think the movement in the transfer portals for Tennessee.
You do have Josh Jacobs' brother, the running back from Maryland, who Tennessee's been evaluating.
Yeah, but where does that go or does it go? Who knows? But we'll see. There's one name there, but in terms of a laundry list of names, I don't know about. I don't think Tennessee's got a laundry list of names right now.
No, because I think they would rather wait on the kids that are playing, finishing out their year, and then saying, I've got a year or two left. I'd like to go someplace that's got a little more juice or a better situation, or go to the SEC to play or whatever. I mean, look at Caleb Tremblay. I mean, he just wanted to come to the SEC.
Right.
That'll be some kids.
Yeah, it will be.
Well, and like Hubbard mentioned, coaching season. And not just head coaching changes, but if a kid's real close with his position coach.
Yep. And that trickle down effect doesn't roll into play, a lot of times till January, February.
Yeah.
Or certainly early part of January. So, it's a little early for all that activity. E. Schaefer 92, with poor safety play this season, is that a position they could possibly address in the portal this offseason? If not, what is that position group like in the 22 season? I think Christian Charles, when he gets healthy, I think he's one of Tennessee's safeties. I think if he'd have stayed healthy, Rob, I believe he would be a starter or would be in heavy rotation at the safety spot.
I'd like to think so. I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I mean, to me, that was something that I would have looked hard at getting him some playing time from what we saw early on.
Yeah. Elsewhere, what does McDonald look like? Where's McCullough and Flowers? I mean, both those guys will be back. And, I don't know that that's going to be a portal heavy position, Austin, because they've got needs at some other places. But again, how many guys can they take in this portal depends on how many of the super seniors come back as well. I mean, everybody just assumes Tennessee's going to have this, wide open spots for all these guys in the portal, 7 guys or whatever. That just may not be the case. Depends on who all's coming back and what those numbers look like when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they would prefer to go, with either prep guys or JUCO guys. They do have people coming back in the secondary. I mean, they've got to continue to add depth there, but I mean, it's not like you're talking about all kinds of just empty holes. Alonte's a guy that could come back, but I mean, like, I don't know. Part of me just doesn't see him coming back.
Yeah, I would be surprised. It would surprise me. That's just a gut feel, but it would surprise me if he ends up coming back. Where does a guy like Rucker play long term? Is he a corner? Is he a safety? Is he a star?
They've had him working a corner.
Yeah. So you never know what his body does, with a year in the off-season program and where their combination, their best 4 guys are, next year. Sports Medball wants to know, as deep as Georgia is on defense, how many times do we see defenders lay down Saturday so they can sub, especially if Tennessee is moving the ball?
It's that last line. If Tennessee's moving the ball, man, can Tennessee move the ball? They might not lay down at all.
Yeah, I mean,
part of me thinks that that will be very sporadic if they do. It won't be to the extent that Lane and them do it.
No.
I mean, I agree
where they have a call. Jam 14. Number 14 lays down. Jam 33. 33 lays down.
However, you might have said this Monday night. I just on the Tuesday podcast, I just don't think Tennessee could drive it on them, but I do think they'll hit some big plays.
Yeah. And look, I mean, there may be a couple times where, Georgia gets caught in a sub and somebody might do that. But I mean, Alabama, it's the same defense and Alabama didn't flop around. So I don't expect Georgia to be doing much of that. Interesting. Josh Heupel said on Volquest Wednesday night that's something somebody called in asking about all the cramping that was taking place in college football this season, late in the year. And he just said that's something that had to be addressed in the off season. So we'll see what everybody's addressing or what the suggestions are going to be to address that issue in college football moving forward, because I think it's certainly on the minds of everyone at this point in the season. Smokey Govalls, after watching the Hyatt play down the sideline Saturday, do you think that the ball's momentum carried him to the sideline, or is he trying to do too much? That play should have been 6. Which bowl outside of the Florida Bowls would be the most beneficial for Heupel's first year in terms of fan excitement, recruiting, program momentum, etc.? I heard Cade say on Tennessee Prime that he wanted the Music City Bowl. That stadium would be packed with easy accessibility. Here's my take on the Hyatt play. He didn't catch it cleanly. And because he didn't catch it cleanly, he stumbled. And when he stumbled himself to to stepping out of bounds. If he catches it cleanly there, then he's sprinting down the sideline. I think it was more of him stumbling, not catching the ball cleanly, than the ball drifting him or taking him, too far down the sideline or too far to the boundary. That's my take. Everybody agrees. Okay. Which bowl game would you say is best for Tennessee? Do you agree the Music City makes the most sense for everything?
If it's not Florida, yeah, probably. It makes it easy. I do think anything in the state is good. Memphis or Nashville, just based off the fact that, you can continue to recruit, indirectly during that time, having Tennessee and all the orange in the city of Memphis or in the city of Nashville.
Birdman Texas wants to know, barring a question from Angel's show, how do each of you define success against Georgia Saturday, considering that winning is an extreme long shot? Rob, we'll start with you.
I mean, I hate to set the bar so low, but I mean, scoring 20 points, don't get blown out, at least, have a pulse coming out of halftime.
My favorite is the fact that this question exists, and, there'll be people on the board that it's as black and white as win and loss, and if they lose, it's, oh, we lost. That goes on every game, like Florida, which going retrospect, the way Florida's played the last month, sure, but people were saying the same stuff at Alabama. we got to get over moral victories. I agree. I mean, like, you can't hang on to that forever, but I mean, this team is playing with less than any team's played with in a long, long time around here. Don't about the cupboard being, empty when Josh Heupel came in. So, success, I'm with Rob. I mean, be there like you were with Alabama. Can you hang around and be close late, midway part of the second half, which is the start of the fourth quarter? I mean, you were a 7-point game at the start of the fourth quarter in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, this is a Georgia team that's not trailed at the half. There's only been 2 games where they did not have double-digit lead at the half. Nobody's been within them. So can, as Rob said, can you get this ball game in the second half, and can you hang around? I don't know, but I mean that would be, that would be a victory for me. Tennessee matching them physically would be, would be a win as well. So that, again, I know nobody wants to hear the moral victory thing, and that's not what anybody's touting, but you want to show, that you're closer to them than 3 touchdowns, which is what Vegas says you're going to lose by on Saturday. Peyton for Prez wants to know, NIL, can kids sell their own jerseys, or is there some central company that could do that? Seems like a great way to help the players out. Not game-worn jerseys necessarily. Mainly mean, can Cade sell 68 Tennessee jerseys, or can Jalen Hyatt sell an 11 jersey, etc.?
Well, no, they can't sell them themselves. But what Michigan has done is, make it possible for, you to go in and buy your custom jersey that has Hendon Hooker on it with a number 5 on it, and the kid gets a portion of that money. I think that's something you're going to see more and more schools do. I think Tennessee needs to get on board with that, because I think ultimately recruits want to hear that, and I'm sure the current players do too. So,
and frankly, it should have been happening forever.
Yeah.
I mean, school profiting off. I mean, that to me is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I would agree. Even pre-NIL, that should have been a percentage thing, and whether it was just in a big pot, that there was some distribution evenly across the board for every kid in your program, or whatever the case may be. There are a lot of 5 basketball jerseys that were sold that were all about Chris Lofton, and
Chris Lofton never saw it done.
Yeah.
Now, what you guys don't know is, for your early Christmas gift, I got Hubs a number 9 jersey. I got Rob a 95 jersey. Hubs' last name will be Picks. Rob's will be or GTFO, and that will be the Christmas present. And we'll have you guys stand side by side.
I got you a number 9 that says Savage on the back.
I Heart Balls wants to know, based on Austin's comments, it appears the coaching staff likes Walter Nolan as a prospect, but doesn't think the talent is worth the accompanying drama. That said, is Nolan more important from a talent position of need perspective or a perceptions perspective? Which player flipping to UT would turn the heads of more prospects who are not currently committed to UT, Nolan or Ty Simpson? Where is Marlon Walls, and is he involved in Nolan's recruitment? Austin,
Marlon's not involved in his recruitment anymore. Marlon lives in Knoxville, but he's not been super involved in that since they left Memphis. I think it's both. I mean, I think that he can help you on the field, and I think he helps you perception wise, because you're landing a top 5 player nationally by all services. As far as who would be the better or the bigger flip, I would go Ty Simpson. Simply based off the fact that I think quarterback. I get it's a line of scrimmage league, but at the end of the day, it's a quarterback's game, Hubs. Like, when you're good at quarterback, it changes everything. So, ultimately, they've not talked to Ty Simpson at this point. So it doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm just saying, if you're looking at it and you're asking me to answer the question, and I know everybody's going to, analyze everything I've said right here, I'm just saying simply, it's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback game. If you're good at quarterback, it can cover up so many deficiencies, period.
And traditionally, quarterbacks are better peer recruiters than other positions. But because of they recognize the need for help. Peyton Manning is not the only quarterback to go out and recruit other players to the school they're committed to. So that's part of it as well. Joe Boo wants to know, we have discussed for weeks that we have a lack of talent, speed at the safety position. My question is, do we have the answers currently on the roster? I think we've already hit on that a little bit. Are our quality safeties going to have to be obtained through recruiting and in the portal. Obviously, Rob, they've got to upgrade their speed. Moving forward, I think that's the bottom line. I like Christian Charles, but they've got to continue to recruit and upgrade their speed in the back end of this defense in the secondary.
Yeah, man, I think Charles is a player. I think he's a plug and play guy when he's healthy next year. But after that, I don't know. Don't you think the jury's still out on Tamarian McDonald?
Yeah, and I don't know if speed wise if there's a dramatic difference between him and where you're at safety right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Tennessee safeties now, if they were more instinctive, would look faster. I don't know that they're always the most instinctive or have been the most instinctive guys at times back there in their career. But I don't know that I don't know how fast McDonald is compared to McCullough or Flower or isn't. Yeah, I don't know. He's not played enough, to see at this point. Because clearly Willie Martinez feels most comfortable playing 1 and 22 back there.
And as for Joe Boo Hubs, we really appreciate him buying my meal that night at Walk-Ons. Good dude, super good dude. And any of those other Volquesters want to take me to dinner, just let me know.
So let me get this right. You've been working the golf course. You're going to take it from getting on top 10 golf courses in the country to now you're just wanting people to randomly buy you dinner.
Listen, I walked into the Ooltewah Chick-fil-A on Thursday night.
Does the word mooch come to mind, Austin?
Hey, listen, Hubs, at the end of the day,
mooch?
They get the nugs when they buy me the food or the golf. So, I walked into the Chick-fil-A in Ooltewah.
Did they do extra crispy nuggets?
And no, they don't do that at Chick-fil-A anymore, Hubs. Welcome to the 2022.
You're the only person I know that orders them that way.
So Volquester, who is who's one of the guys there that run the Chick-fil-A, buys my meal. Appreciate him as well. My point is, you want the nugs? Buy me the meal.
That's terrible. All right, D Mike 96. Any thoughts on how our style of offensive play may impact our offensive line recruiting? You think any way it's negative on recruit? I don't see it that way, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you see
Are you kidding me? Offensive linemen that have their feet up over there while the defensive linemen come back to the sidelines, like Marv trying to get Harry's attention when the bricks are being thrown at him at Home Alone, going.
After they've played 90 snaps. It's not the most physical style, but they run the ball effectively. Rob, I don't think it works against Tennessee in any way there.
I don't think so. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe, some guys might, joke about having to, get back and line up so quickly, but they're not like receivers. It's not like they ran a go route. They had to, they've got to run 3 or 4 yards to get back to the line of scrimmage, unless it was a big play and set up quickly.
All right, last 3 we'll get to here. Deshaun 13. Who are some inside linebackers Tennessee's got a shot at? You got anything on the linebacker board, Austin?
Right. DeMario Tolan can play inside. He can play both inside and out. That's they're very happy with Elijah Herring and Caleb Perry.
Almighty Otto, are we pursuing Evan Stewart, the highly rated wide receiver out of Texas, whose whole family went to the University of Tennessee?
No.
Tennessee's not.
He didn't finish his. He didn't finish his senior year of high school. There's something strange going on there. I don't know what.
And final question: black uniforms Saturday.
Uh-oh.
Yes. I can have me other languages you want me to answer it in.
So you got it happening, right, AP?
Yes.
All right. So we'll see what Tennessee drops on the social media with the uniform combo, but
dark mode,
according to Austin Price. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Volquest.com mailbag podcast presented by Smoky Mountain Organics. For Austin Price and Rob Lewis, I'm Brent Hubbs. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.
You've been listening to the Volquest mailbag podcast every week right here on Volquest.